Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We are coming on the air because ABC News has now confirmed Iran has just launched a retaliatory missile attack targeting Israel. A U.S. senior administration official telling ABC News now that Iran is expected to fire 240 to 250 missiles at 4 targets in Israel. This includes the Mossad headquarters, Israel's spy agency, 3 Israeli air bases. We are told it'll take about 15 minutes to actually reach their targets. The U.S. and Israeli military with their defenses at the ready at this moment, including Israel's Iron Dome. Israel has ordered residents now in Jerusalem to shelter in place. The White House had signaled a potential strike was imminent. The attack follows a rapid escalation of violence in the Middle East, something we've been covering for weeks now, including an Israeli airstrike killing Hezbollah's leader in Beirut. Iran launching a direct attack on Israel in April, but few of its missiles and rockets actually reached their intended targets. Many were shot down by the U.S. coalitions in the region. This comes as the Israeli military now says its troops were conducting limited ground raids in southern Lebanon. Let's get straight to our Ian panel in Beirut. Ian, what can you tell us at this moment?
Yeah, hi there, Kira. I mean, this is clearly underway. There have been a lot of fears that this was coming, especially after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah for almost 3 decades. The live pictures that we're now seeing, certainly over the skies in Tel Aviv, show a lot of lights in the air. Now, what's unclear is whether these are ballistic missiles. We believe Iran has fired over 100 ballistic missiles. We certainly know that the Iron Dome and other air defenses are in operation, and this is happening right as we speak. A nationwide emergency alert to all Israelis to shelter. All our colleagues, people with friends and family are all hiding now, basically in bunkers. Many people in their homes, they have kind of makeshift shelters, and everyone is now underground. This came shortly after a terrorist attack in Israel. We're told that this is possibly the first of 4 waves of attacks. Now, this is almost, if the 250 figure is right, that's almost double the size of the attack that took place in April. Remember, Iran attacking at that time. We suspected that there would be an attack, but this is significantly larger. Israel has warned all of its citizens to take all precautions to try and stay underground if they can. We're certainly hearing the sounds of explosions from Tel Aviv in that feed that is coming from some of the television cameras there. So clearly terrifying moments for people on the ground. And then eventually we'll start to talk about what the response is. Israel has been very clear that if Iran attacks Israel, it is going to respond, and the response is going to be very severe. So we just have to wait and see. 99% of the missiles that were fired at Israel back in April were intercepted. This is double the size. That's a huge test of Israel's resources. Remember, you've got American service personnel on the ground there, as well as American citizens. You've got the U.S. Embassy and obviously lots of other foreign nationals as well. So this will be a terrifying night for many people. You know, we're hearing the sounds of explosions. Again, it's hard at this point to know whether these are intercepts or whether some of these missiles are actually going through.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hurting Humanity channel. The fireworks have begun. Literally, the fireworks have begun, because what you're watching is a fireworks show as Iran launched a huge wave of missiles at Israel. And this doesn't just reek of a false flag. What this reeks of is a CGI fireworks display, because in order for this war to move forward, false flags have to occur. And that means that Israel has to create false flags on themselves and blame it on Iran to give them a reason to go invade and bomb Iran. And of course, the one ingredient that's missing that is coming is the United States of America's participation in this war. Everybody out there should know that the United States of America is going to get sucked into this as being an ally with Israel. And do not be surprised in the coming months if there is a major false flag event that occurs on American soil that can be blamed on Iran, so that the United States of America and the quote-unquote patriots beg to go into what will be the scripted, planned and staged all along World War III. So What you're seeing right now, of course, we saw last week, I covered this the last couple of weeks with the exploding pagers, the exploding walkie-talkies. We saw stores that were selling cell phones blowing up, but remember, they don't want you to think it's an actual cell phone. In fact, they wanted you to believe that Hezbollah would not actually check the pagers or the walkie-talkies for devices that could go boom. They would just put them in their pockets or walk around with them, and they were afraid of a cell phone for that exact reason. But they didn't think that they could be put in a pager or be put in a walkie-talkie, despite what happened in 1996 that I covered, where they literally just made a movie about it called The Engineer. And of course, the same exact thing played out 25 years later while they were still using supposedly technology from the 1980s and the 1990s. So what most people should be paying attention to with everything that's going on is they should be asking themselves simple questions. They should be saying to themselves, why are things airing on the news where you have the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, and you have Hezbollah, you have Hamas, you have these organizations, these terrorist organizations who are announcing on the news what they're going to do next? I mean, could you imagine before any type of an attack, let's just say hypothetically, let's look at Pearl Harbor, or let's look at the 11th day of September, and believing what the narrative was that they told us, right? Even though people knew that it was coming beforehand. Just imagine on the news, a few days before the 11th day of September, that the stories on the news were, hey, somebody's going to blow that building up. Wouldn't you likely say to yourself, let's do something about it to prevent it from happening? Well, if you haven't heard, all of these things keep getting announced beforehand. In this specific case, they were telling us 24 hours ago that Israel was expecting an attack and that they were even given an ETA, an estimated time of arrival of the missile strikes that were coming in. So they had knowledge of this beforehand. And don't forget the fact that they have the Iron Dome. Okay, Israel's Iron Dome defense system is unpenetratable. You cannot get a missile inside of the Iron Dome. Now, they might tell you, well, they fired so many that a few got in. None are getting in. And the reason that they have the Iron Dome is because, well, they're really the world government, right? Because it's a military state that was created under the guise of being Israel. And most people are duped into thinking just because they decided to name themselves Israel, that they're the chosen people and they must be protected at all costs. So you have a group that has the best military in the world, maybe other than China, or one and the same, who has the best defense mechanism, the best defense system in the world to protect themselves. They were attacked on the 7th day of October last year. And when that happened, I talked about how the only way you could get an attack in on them is if they allowed it to happen. And they had to come out with these counter stories to that narrative saying that, well, the only reason they were able to strike is because this happened in the night or that happened in the night. There's no way it would ever have happened. Just like this attack, we were told 24 hours ahead of time that it was coming. So they clearly knew it was coming, and they have the Iron Dome, but they want us to believe that, well, some of the missiles got in. Why? So it gives a reason for Israel to retaliate, right? It gives a reason for Israel to retaliate, and you can bet your bottom dollar that a false flag is coming to America soon. Now, again, I can't emphasize enough the notion of how these militaries, how Israel and how these groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hamas, they all seem to let us know what they're going to do beforehand. Is this something that you would do in war? Could you imagine during other wars that the generals were going on, they were writing letters to the local newspapers, and they were like, this is exactly what we're going to do on this specific day. Why would these things be announced? Well, they're being announced because this is how psychological operations work. Now, if you don't know, they began ground operations in Lebanon last night, and it's almost comical to watch this because it looks like a scene out of Wag the Dog. They're literally trying to convince you of a war going on, so you're emotionally invested in this war. And we even have things like the IDF having their own YouTube channel, which I covered in the past, where every day they're putting on a performance on their YouTube channel, talking to people, telling people what's going on, as if this is a need during a war. This is a main concern to announce not only to convince people that you're in war, but to let everybody know what your next moves are. And then to let everybody know what the other side's doing so that they could see, so they could choose a side, because this is what psychological ops look like. So let me just play for you this quick clip because it's comical, where they were announcing that they were invading Lebanon 24 hours ago. They aired this on national news, Good Morning America, in the United States of America, and you could just see this guy speaking to everybody out there. You just think to yourself, if you were in war, why would you be showing your enemy where you're going, telling them what your plans are? Does that make any sense to anyone? Again, wouldn't you just be giving them a blueprint for how they could stop you? Because then they could go, well, they're going here. They just told everybody on the TV. Oh, well, we better go there to stop them. They just announced their moves, and people are in such a psychosis. They get so invested in this stuff, they don't even realize that this is not how war is supposed to work. You're not supposed to be telling what you're going to do out in the open to everyone, but everyone's getting sucked in. They feel like this is real because, again, this is how you manufacture human beings. You tell them that these things are going on. You show them images of these things going on. Then you tell them to choose sides. Then you tell them that this guy's good and this guy's bad. And you suck them into the psychosis, which is a big part of what they need for World War III. Here's a quick clip that aired
overnight,
on Good Morning America today before the missile strikes
what they describe as limited, localized raids against Hezbollah targets.
Hezbollah turned Lebanese villages next to Israeli villages into military bases, all ready for an attack on Israel. Hezbollah had prepared to use those villages as staging grounds for an October 7th-style invasion.
Shortly after, the IDF saying they intercepted several missiles fired from Lebanon. Ahead of these strikes, the Pentagon deploying several fighter squadrons and a few thousand extra personnel. They join an aircraft carrier strike group bolstering US forces in the region. The US pressing Israel to contain the scale of operations. On Monday, President Biden again calling for peace.
We should have a ceasefire now.
Israel also attacking here in Beirut overnight. Parts of this densely populated neighborhood in the city are starting to look like Gaza, with civilian casualties and hundreds of thousands forced from their homes. Iran promising the assassination of Hezbollah's longtime leader Hassan Nasrallah won't go unanswered. But so far, they've not taken any action. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu issuing an apparent warning in a video message to the Iranian people.
When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think, everything will be different.
So you had that this morning. Then you had the missile strikes, of course, which looked nothing more than a fireworks show. You just saw flares going into the sky that literally just, you don't even, on the news, they're pretty much saying, well, we don't know if they're being intercepted or not. Pray for everybody get down. There's no explosions really occurring. You don't even see the missiles getting intercepted in the sky. They literally look like flares going off in the sky. So the other thing to pay attention to, like I mentioned, is that the United States of America is going to get sucked into this, which makes me more and more, I've gone back and forth about what my opinion is on what will happen in the fake selection, but it doesn't really matter what I think is going to happen, because whatever happens is what their plan is and was from the get-go. And their plan involves bringing America to its knees. So everything we've heard and seen with Trump and Israel and how they've aligned Republicans with Israel and Democrats with Palestine, this is all playing out perfectly for Trump to actually be put back in. Because think about this. You put Trump back in power. We're already on the cusp of World War III. You cue a false flag event while Trump immediately, as soon as he gets back in, right? Say January. Iran gets blamed for it. Trump brings us into war. Our children will fight and die for Israel. Everybody out there who's a Christian will say, let's send our kids into war because it's God's country. And they will suck in Christians to go sign up and enroll in the military to go into World War III thinking that they're fighting for God's chosen people. And who are they really fighting for? Well, the synagogue of Satan. So everything that you see going on out there all goes back to that letter I told you, Mazzini's 1871 letter with Albert Pike about the staged Third World War and how it has to be conducted between Islam, the Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel. And they have to destroy one another. And all the other countries have to line up and take a side in this, which is why when I showed you over on I showed you the video clip from the United Nations of Netanyahu, who came over, they booed him, some of the people, and he had to go into the United Nations and stand there so that countries could stand up and walk out of the room so that they could choose a side in front of you. This is literally being manufactured. You're in the middle of a production. And the more that you mentally believe this stuff, you get emotionally invested in this stuff, and you want war. One way or the other, you want war. You want war for one side or war for the other side. You choose a side in the war. This is what's part of their plan. That's why they have to psychologically convince you that all of this is happening. That's why the IDF posts every move they're going to make on a YouTube channel. I mean, just think about the insanity of that. You're in a war. Imagine that you're in a war. Imagine that you're a soldier. Some of you probably were soldiers in the past, or maybe currently you're a soldier. Just imagine then you're doing all the stuff that you do, all the training that you do, all the psychological stuff that you're put through. And they go, hey, and here comes so-and-so. And you go, who's this guy? They're like, well, he's a higher up. And they go, oh, he's a, what is he, a commander? Yeah, and he's got his own YouTube channel. You go, what? Yeah, he's got an uncensored YouTube channel where he posts everything that we're going to do every single day. And then he tells you how bad the other side is. Wouldn't you say, well, what's the point of that? I mean, isn't the point of war that we're supposed to go into war and take out the other side? Well, not in today's world. The point of war is to psychologically suck you into it. So the YouTube channel fits perfectly because the dumbed down society we live in, they don't even think like that. They see that they have a channel and they just watch it because they think they're getting updates on what's going on in the war, as if these people would give them their blueprints and their strategic plans out in the public on freaking YouTube. And they still believe that this stuff is going on. I mean, it's literally out of Wag the Dog. For anyone that hasn't seen the clips of Wag the Dog and how they manufacture wars, it's literally right in front of us. I mean, movies like Wag the Dog literally give away what this really is, what's really occurring, and how all of this stuff that you think is really happening is not. This stuff is staged. It's scripted. Does it mean that there are not people who are casualties of these events? No. It does not mean that people do not die. I'm not saying that people don't die. I'm saying the story that they're fabricating is all psychological. A lot of the things they're telling you that are occurring, like right now, missile strikes. People are seeing that. They're going, oh my gosh, they're missile striking Israel. We need to retaliate. Everyone who sides with Israel is going, we need to retaliate. They don't even realize that those aren't even striking. They're flaring in the sky and they're disappearing. And then they're going, well, some of them are getting intercepted by the Iron Dome. Well, all of them would have been intercepted by the Iron Dome, because none of them would hit. And they don't even realize that all of this show that you're seeing right now is to bring America and other countries into this war, specifically America, so America could be brought to their knees. But here's a clip from Wag the Dog for anyone that hasn't seen.
I'm in show business, yes? Why come to me?
You know why?
Why?
It's show business. That's why we're here. V for victory. 5 Marines raising the flag. Mount Suribachi. One video of one bomb, Mr. Moss. The American people bought that war. War is show business.
You want me to produce your war? Not a war, it's a pageant. We need a theme, a song, some visuals. Okay, good. Put the village behind her.
Give me some flames. Some sound of screaming.
That girl. Doesn't she look Albanian? She looks like she was born and raised in Albania. Could she be running across a bridge? I think,
A pond.
I think it's a calico kitten. He's running across with a kitten. Boy, punch in a calico kitten. I have 19 screens here. I can't see one calico kitten.
We have a small calico kitten, sir. Calico.
What?
The president wants a white one.
He wants a white one.
How soon do you think we'll be able to get this cut?
Oh, we're going to be done in about 4 or 5 hours.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report that the young Albanian national fleeing in this video is attempting to escape terrorist reprisals in her village. America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of the human race than that which armed conflict.
Fantastic.
So this is what's happening right now. And a lot of people don't want to believe it, right? Because I don't know why a lot of people don't want to believe it, but you could look at the actual footage of some of this stuff, and you see what they're showing you. And it literally looks like you're at Six Flags. You're at some amusement park and you're watching the end of the night firework display in the sky. It's just flares going up. You don't even hear them hitting the ground. You don't even see the missiles for the most part really intercepting. Now, are the missiles intercepting? Well, of course they're gonna simulate the missiles intercepting to make you, so they don't want you to actually realize that the Iron Dome would intercept all of them. So they're obviously gonna tell you, well, 90% of the missiles are intercepted by the Iron Dome. Because otherwise, then some people might go, well, why is their defense system, the Iron Dome, why is it not working? Why do they have so much money and such a big military? Why is this occurring? How are they able to get missiles inside? Because on October 7th of last year, they expected you not to ask those questions, and too many people did. So days after it occurred on October 7th, when I was ranting and raving on a different channel, of course, long gone, I was saying this wouldn't even be possible if they wanted it to be possible. If somebody wanted to go and do this to Israel, it wouldn't be possible, right? And what ends up happening? The media comes out 24 hours later, and the media says to you, oh, right, our bad. What happened was the systems were down for a few hours. They were offline. The guy fell asleep at the monitor, and the missiles got in. That's how it got in. That's why the Iron Dome didn't work. And people out there bought it because they can give any excuse. They can come out there and say anything, and these people actually believe it. So get ready, because we're getting closer. I'm not saying that this is the simulated strike that will bring about World War III, even though World War III is trending, but we are getting closer and closer. And the biggest thing needed for this is the United States of America's participation. And do not be surprised if there's some type of false flag on U.S. soil in the future that is blamed on Iran in the very near future that brings America into this. But it's likely, if Donald Trump is put in power, that they will wait until then. We'll see how the script plays out. But remember, it's a script. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you and your families, as always.